Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing. Hey metalheads, after going to a rager, what's your ultimate go-to? Mine is totally pizza. So when Overload is playing or I'm promoting the Metal Forge live showcases or the big goddamn metal show, I go to Pizza DoNisi. Pizza DoNisi is gourmet artisan pizza from right here in Louisville, Kentucky. It features things like the pizza of the month, the sandwiches, and also vegetarian and vegan options, which is so totally fucking cool for all of it's awesome pizza. You definitely want to go. Hey, and also from time to time they do cannolis. Oh, so fucking good. You know what they said, man? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. Yeah, just like that in Godfather. They're located right next to the Mag Bar at 1396 South 2nd Street. So either stop in or call in at 502-213-0488. They're open till midnight. The witching hour.
Heineken? Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Hey metalheads, you all hear me talk about Mag Bar all the time. It is the home to the Metal Forge live showcases and is an integral stop in the ultimate underground metal tour schedule. They obviously feature live music, but the Mag Bar also has daily specials like Pint and Slice Night on Tuesdays with Pizza DoNisi. But they also do Bring Your Own Vinyl on Thursdays with DJ Kent Jackson, and Finer Things Sundays. Located right next to Pizza DoNisi at 1398 South 2nd Street, open 3 p.m. to 4 a.m. 7 days a week. Get your asses out to the Mag Bar. Rock out. For 45 years in keeping Louisville weird, Electric Ladyland has been there for all your eccentricities. While they do offer the best smoking supplies out on the market today, there's a whole lot more to check out. From ashtrays and blacklight posters, to records, incense and burners, and items to stock your metaphysical supply. They are open from 10 to 10, 7 days a week. Located at 2325 Bardstown Road in Louisville, Kentucky, and at electricladyland420.com. Roll out. The year was 1979, and all the world was caught up in disco and Star Wars. But in Louisville, something was happening. A young entrepreneur named Ben had a vision to be the best record store in all of the city. Fast forward to 2023, and Better Days Records is still going strong. Still, after all these years, owned by the same guy. We have had some trips and falls along the way, but so does life, and Better Days is here to stay. With two awesome locations at 921 Barrett Avenue and at 2600 West Broadway, better days are surely in your future.
in a broken wasteland. Come to my fire and place your blood and steel upon my pyre. Oh, this is the metal forge. 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 Metal forge. My furnace starts to glow with crimson coals. My hammer beats.
What's going on, metalheads? Thank you for tuning in to another week of the Metal Forge. You know who I am. By the way, Jason Gardner from the Heavy Metal Wasteland is here. This is becoming a regular thing. Jason, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, and this week our guest is Mr. Tom Jordan from the band 20 Watt Tombstone. Jason, you set this up because of the interesting post about some. We're gonna get into it into the conversation, but his merch cut post is why we did this, and this is more of just a real like shop talk conversation between dudes in a band from various levels of music.
Yeah, I would say he's probably way above me and you as far as like the band status goes. I mean, he's known nationally. They tour nationally. They get pretty good guarantees every show.
Right.
So he's definitely a place I'd like to be at. But it was just awesome listening to his thoughts and insights on small band problems. Because, dude, I got such a kick out of listening to it. And I'm not gonna get into any spoilers, obviously, but there's a recent post he put about people yelling out cover song requests, which cracked me up, and I wish he was posted that when we did the interview. But yeah, I totally agree with him on that post also. So
right,
yeah, he was fun to talk to, man. He really didn't care and just like cut it, or he just cut through the shit and just said it like it was.
Yeah, and that's great, and I wish more people would do that. And, you know, re-listening to this while I was doing the cut, you know, getting rid of my stutters and shit like that like I always do. But, like, what got me about it was just, like, the balls out aspect of, it's like, no, man. These people about, when we get into the draw conversation, you know, that is, like... That like really cements my mode of thinking over the last month about kicking out what's old and bringing in what's new, and you know, focusing on that rather than just what the hell ever, you know, whatever big band is doing this month or year or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've told you this before in private, but except for like a few bands I absolutely love, Priest, Maiden, ECDC, stuff like that, I think my big show days are over. Like, I even get annoyed when I have to go to like 1,000 venues
1,000
anymore. I'm just like, dude, if it's like 100 or less, count me in. Like, anymore, you know. I'm just like, I'm so tired of the big shows with the jacked up prices for no reason.
Yeah,
like, love our beers and shit like that, you know. I'm just done with it, man. Like, you can talk to the bands before and after. You can get up close. There's those stupid meet and greets where you're, you know, barred from talking.
Sometimes there is.
Like,
sometimes there is.
Sometimes, but you know, those are, you can circumvent them by just like going to find them in a small place.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're gonna play some 20 Watt Tombstone here, dude. What do you want to play?
Anything is good because he actually picked the last song we're going out with. So that was my favorite song by his or theirs. So yeah, just anything. I'm good.
All right. So anyways, yeah, We're starting something new here. This is the first time we're going to talk about it. Flamekeeper.vip. You can go there, sign up. It's the Patreon page, but it's you. You're the VIP, right? Hell yeah. And what do they get for signing up this week, Jason?
Well, if you sign up or have been signed up, you will get the uncut version of Tom Jordan's interview, plus a bunch of other stuff that we have on there that you can just scroll down and find, whether it be exclusive videos or early release like this episode will be.
So, but you didn't say, you said it was an exclusive uncut, but you didn't say it was the uncut video.
Oh yeah, well, I guess I should have mentioned that. Yeah, it'll be the uncut video. Nothing done to it except for publish.
You're gonna add the Metal Forge logo on the front of it, and are you even gonna do that?
I wasn't going to, but I can.
Well, I mean, it's like the first video Metal Forge, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so.
Well, this is breaking news. You haven't sent me the Metal Forge logo, so you'll have to have that.
Oh yeah! Wow! Holy shit! So yeah, sign up, and you know what? Let's go ahead and listen to some 20 Watt Tombstone here. This is, what is it? Goddamn. And it's in honor of the big goddamn metal show.
See, now you got me thinking about it, fucker. Left me with a drunk and wife. Grew up hard in me, had to fight most of my life. Always been out on my own with a pistol and a bottle in my hand. The devil been on my trail, Lord, since the day that I was drowned. Goddamn, 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 like a motherfucker. Goddamn. Goddamn! Goddamn! Goddamn like a motherfucker! She's a pretty girl with the suckers on and the big damn thing in her hair. Schoolgirl 17, looking good, gets the lean almost more than I can bear. Ever not know what to say when she's looking so fucking fine. But don't be afraid to say, goddamn, we won't be crossing the line. Goddamn. 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 Goddamn like a motherfucker. Goddamn. Goddamn! Damn! Goddamn like a motherfucker! Goddamn! 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 Goddamn like a motherfucker!
I thought that was pretty fucking good, actually. From my end, it sounded good.
What's going on, metalheads? We are back this week with Jason Gardner from the Heavy Metal Wasteland and Temptations Wings. Jason, what's up?
What's up, everyone?
What? Go ahead, say it.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. Glad to be back from the Wasteland, he says.
Yeah.
And we are here with Mr. Tom Jordan from 20 Watt Tombstone. Dude, what is up?
Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, by the time this airs, it might be in a few weeks, it might be in a month. I don't know, because everything is crazy right now. But like, you were just here in Louisville for Fists of Riffs, fucking, rad times, whatever. Dudes, like, what's going on with 20 Watt now? You know, like, what are you all planning to do?
Actually a lot.
Yeah.
So COVID kind of knocked us out of commission for a little bit, and my drummer decided to have a baby. His girlfriend decided to have a baby. He had a role in it, but he didn't physically give birth to the baby.
Well, I hope he was a part of it.
Yeah, if he was able to have babies, I would certainly hope that he would be making a living using that wonderful gift that he had been blessed with, rather than playing rock and roll. But anyway, yeah. So him and his lady, had their first child. So that's been a big thing. And so with COVID and the new baby and stuff, it just kind of made us unable to tour for a couple of years in there. And so we worked on the new record, which is done now, which should be out late summer. From the look of things, we're still waiting on vinyl. So when we get word on vinyl, we'll actually have our release date. But everything else is done. Everything else is paid for. Like, we're literally just waiting for vinyl. But the name of that record will be The Chosen Few. And we got a new music video coming out. We got 2 tours booked. We got one coming up in September, and then we're going to do one in November. So it's going to be a busy year promoting the new record.
Fuck yeah. And, while we're on the subject of touring, Jason and I were talking about this off air, and I'm going to bring this up to the forefront, is we thought of a perfect duo to tour with you, is the Laid Back Country Picker.
I've seen that dude. Yeah.
Have you seen him live?
No. Well, I've seen videos of them live.
Like, video is cool, but fucking actually in person, it's magical, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, it's good stuff. I was actually the one who brought that up, actually.
Yeah, he did. That is totally his idea.
You are the first people that have brought that up, but you are not the first people that have mentioned that band to me, saying they're awesome live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And dude is like an economics teacher in high school.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Really?
And now he's like caught fire, and he's like going to LA this year, and fucking it's like just fucking him and Honey in the fucking Cadillac,
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's totally a cool dude. So but anyways, speaking of touring and playing out, this is really the bulk of what the episode, I think, is what we were going to talk about on here, was in the game of playing music. We have these stupid fucking things that we have to fucking do, and we all don't think it's right. And selling tickets, like pay to play shit, always sucks. You gotta sell 30 tickets or you don't get fucking shit, and that fucking bullshit. But then there's also like the radius clauses, and now the fucking big thing is like venues taking cuts of fucking merch. And I hear you've got a really strong opinion on this as well. So
I do.
The first time, literally the first time I ever got like asked that from a venue was playing at the Whiskey in 2012. They counted all of our t-shirts and shit, apparel based shit. They charged 10 fucking % on, and it's like, what?
Yeah, usually it's your soft merch. Usually they don't take your CDs and stuff, but some do.
Yeah, but some do. And it's fucking garbage. It's like, there's no fucking reason behind that, in my opinion. It's just a way to tax fucking bands.
Oh, there's a reason. It's just not a good reason.
Yeah.
No, it's just greed. That's all.
Well, here's the thing. So first I have to ask, where did you hear about my opinion? Who told you?
I read it. I read it on Facebook.
I read it on Facebook.
It was masterful. I was like, my band's not at the point to where anyone thinks that they need to take a cut from us. So I was like, well, I guess you can kind of see it as a badge of honor. Like, oh well, 21 Tombstone is big enough to where this promoter decided that you were big enough to take a cut of t-shirt sales because he thought that you were like, sell a lot of shirts, obviously. But your response was just amazing. Like, I was like, dude, one day I will have a response just like this, and I'll be more than happy to write it.
I appreciate that. That post actually got a lot of traction, and people shared it all over the place. And I had like this huge influx of friend requests for like 3 days after that post.
Right.
And really, so just to be clear, that post was directed at a festival in a B market that was drawing on average 150 to 200 people yearly. And they wanted 20% of soft merch.
Right.
And how it was put to me was, the guy hit us up. First of all, I won't say which festival this was, because I don't believe in naming those kind of people. They are going to make their own bed, and it's going to be their demise. I won't need to name them or start any shit. But this was a rural festival in a B market, not drawing a huge amount of people, not a huge amount of staff needed to do this. It's also a festival to where they could get sponsors and stuff like that to cover their costs. I do a festival in Wisconsin. I get sponsors to help me. I don't charge merch on bands. I never will, because the profit margins are already not great. Bands are already not making much. But this festival was a blues festival, which was my first red flag, because we're not a blues band. And the guy hit me up and was like, hey, we really want you to play this festival. And I said, well, we're not a blues band. And he goes, yeah, you just do your thing. And I'm like, okay. But you need to understand, like, we're not the band that you can say you need to play this amount of blues and this amount of whatever. Like, we do what we do, and that's just what it is. Like, we don't really have blues tunes. So he was good with that. And I told him he would probably have to talk to our booking agent, but that I wanted to get the details before I sent him to the booker, so that I wasn't wasting anybody's time, because the last thing I want to do is send somebody to our agent and then have him have to go through the bullshit that I went through and then say no, because that's a waste of his time. So anyway, the guy was like, this is the fest. It's a great fest, blah, 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 blah. The typical, we do such an awesome job speech. And, and I said something about that I needed to, talk to Mitch, my drummer, and to our booker. And he's like, yeah, and it's awesome and blah, blah, blah. And we even give you somebody to sell your merch for you. And all we ask for it is 20%. So you guys can go hang with your crowd and making it sound like he was doing me a favor. Like, oh, we're going to do you this big favor, and we're only going to take 20%, which, first off, 20% is high. It's real high. And So that began my tirade back to this guy. So I nicely said, well, if we have to pay you 20%, like I'm going to need X amount of dollars from you to put in on the order. And he's like, well, I think you're confused. I meant that you have to pay me. And I'm like, no. If you're going to expect 20%, this is the math worked out of what I need from you on a merch order, typically of about $1,500. This is the amount I'm going to need from you in order for you to make your 20%. And it confused the hell out of him. Like, he was just like, what are you talking about? And so I'm like, no, I didn't understand. And it didn't misunderstand you. I think you misunderstand me. And I'm like, if you are going to take something from someone, it's customary that you pitch in on the product. If you're an investor in a company, you make money after you invest money. You don't just walk up to another company and say, I didn't invest any money. Now give me your money. That's not how it works. So he was like, just not ready for this conversation. So I kind of laid into him a little more and explained to him that the economy of the music scene is not great since COVID. Like, we've got venues closing all over the country. We've got bands' costs for touring, which are way higher than they normally are.
All right.
So fuel has been, a problem, and we all drive like crazy. So, I mean, that's a huge cost right there. Food's up. Gas is up. All of it's up. Touring in general has almost doubled in cost for most bands that are doing it. So it's a bad time to be feeding on people that are still struggling, even more so than, pre-COVID. So I kind of laid into dude, and I kind of called him a vampire and told him he was feeding on the corpses of dead bands and dying bands, and he should be ashamed of himself. And, honestly, the best part for me, though, of the whole thing was I quoted Chris Tucker from the movie Friday. I said, in the words of Chris Tucker from the amazing movie Friday, you ain't put in on this, man. That was my favorite part. Like, I felt like when I said that, I was just like, you know what? Send. That's it right there. Like, that was my mic drop moment. But, he kind of went back and forth with me for a little while, and I don't think he had anybody really argue the points that I made to him. So even though he was pissy about it, I felt like he kind of had heard some new information that maybe he didn't have before. But he finally got back to me. This was after like 3 or 4 replies, and he's like, well, I don't know why you're fighting with me about it. Just say no. And I'm like, well, I did. But then I told him, I said, you changed your merch policy. Like, yeah, we'll come play. But the other point that I made, and I feel like this is kind of, for me anyway, and my band, this is the biggest problem with the merch cut thing. I don't have a problem paying people to do work. If you're going to do the work, you should be paid for it. But you should be able to do that job well. Now, here's the problem with paying some stranger to do your merch. First of all, they don't know your inventory at all. And what job ever hires anybody and goes, you don't need to know the product, but here you go, sell it. Right. That's not how any business works, So for me, I have a kid that does our merch, and he does a fantastic job, and he sells a ton. And the reason he sells a ton is he knows the product. When people come up and ask him what the shirts are made out of, he can tell them this shirt, and this shirt are on Gildan Soft Style. This shirt over here is Bella Canvas Tri-Blend. He knows that stuff. He also has a card reader. He knows state tax. He knows when the new album is coming out. He knows who recorded it. He knows where, everything was done if people have questions. So I don't mind giving him money to do that. Now, if those people could do all of those things and I could give him the night off, whatever.
Right.
But I don't even pay him 20%. He makes 15. So here's a guy who's skilled, has done this for years, knows the product, knows the music, knows the people, in different cities that come to the table. They know him. So there's an advantage to having someone like that. And to me, there's zero advantage to having some stranger sell my stuff. And, we have a lot of stuff. We have, depending on the time, we've done skate decks and dugouts and 2 different styles of hats. And we have 8 different t-shirts currently. Like, that's a lot to manage. Mm-hmm. He knows all of it, So it's one of those things where, for me, the biggest issue is not as much giving them the money. It's giving them the money to do the job poorly that bothers me. And he's already on the payroll. So if I give him the night off, he's pissed, and I probably got to have him go sit out in the van. And then he's going to be asking me for his per diem, for a day that he didn't work. So it's one of those things where it's like, for bands who have a merch guy, you have this thing going already. And what they want to do kind of fucks with that. So that's my very long-winded take on that subject.
No, absolutely. And that's for me, I think you're absolutely right. It's almost like, well, if you want 20%, then how about, and you're going to supply the person, then fuck you. No, I'm going to supply my own person.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off. Fuck that.
Well, and the other thing too to bear in mind is this whole thing was kind of started to a degree by Live Nation. Live Nation venues always charge a merch cut, and that's been the case for a while. So Live Nation kind of set this trend. And it's my understanding that they have increased the amounts that they're taking, and other venues have seen it and now kind of copied it. But here's my thing with the Live Nation thing. So I don't like merch cuts, period. Let me just say that for the record. I don't like them. I think there are other ways to pay your employees. However, I understand why a 600 cap room does it. If you have 150 employees, there's considerable cost in running a bigger venue. I don't agree with it, but I understand their thinking. I know why they do it. What blows my mind is smaller venues doing it. Venues who have like a 12-person staff, or even smaller. I've heard of some venues that are like 150 cap rooms that are trying to charge a merch cut, where they have like 2 bartenders, a door guy, and an owner, and they're trying to take a merch cut. You don't need to do that when you have that small of a staff. No. There's no reason to do it. I mean, if you do, then you're running your room poorly, So I guess my stance on everything is that for smaller rooms, I think it is just pure greed. I don't agree with it at all. Bigger rooms, like I said, I don't agree with it still, but I understand the need to do it. I understand the cost, because, some of these places will have a sound guy, and then they'll have a monitor guy, and then they have a light guy, and then they have 3 doors, and they got a door guy at each one. Then they got 2 back doors, and they got a door guy at each of those. And all those people need to be paid. Then your bartenders and all the other stuff. Like, I understand it, but I think that, again, the music industry suffered such a huge hit during COVID that I think everybody is just kind of struggling at the same time. Mm-hmm. And these Live Nation venues are probably struggling as well. And rather than rethink ways that they can, do things differently, they're just trying to get a leg up on whatever they can. And as long as bands continue to say they're okay with this, I mean, like I said, not that I'm okay with it, but if somebody lets you do something, you're just going to keep doing it, And at that point, whose fault is it then really? I mean, is it our fault because we're not standing up about it? It's like, it's like the girlfriend that cheats on you and you let her cheat. If you continue to let her cheat, you're just as guilty as she is. So I feel like the only way we're going to make change with this is if bands start saying no and not being afraid of the consequences. Because that's what every band that's their thing. It's like, well, if I don't say yes to this, they're not going to have me play there. Well, so what?
Right.
Go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's
Play
thousands of
somewhere else.
venues you can go play. And, you know, the big thing with a lot of this kind of stuff is bands are enticed with opening slots, because there's this idea that if you open for X band or you've played with X band, you get bragging rights and you can go to your buddies and say, well, I opened for this band. And, you know, maybe it's because I'm 47 years old, but I just don't give a shit about any of that anymore. What I care about is, can I make real connections with my fans? Can I have people show up who are going to enjoy what I do? Am I going to be able to make enough money to pay my bills at the end of the day? You know, those are the concerns I have. So when I weigh a show, you know, the pros and cons, you know, sometimes there's cool shows where we've been like, holy shit, you know, we want to go do that with that band. But a lot of the time, it's just basically like, are we going to play to people? Are these people going to dig what we do? You know, because if I can get in front of people who will like what we do, I feel like I have a shot to convert these people, you know? So I think bands just got to start, you know, having a little more respect for themselves and worrying less about, you know, things like, you know, am I going to get blacklisted from this club for saying no to an opening slot? Which most of the time, nobody's going to get blacklisted because they say no to something. You know, it's just, I don't know where that ever came up, but I've heard bands say that. They're like, well, if I say no to the show, they're probably never going to have me back. No, they're probably not going to care. They're going to go to the next person who wants to do it, and they'll probably come around and ask you for another show again later on.
Okay, there's a whole lot there to digest. First off, wow. Jason, what are your first thoughts?
Well, I mean, like I said, being in a band that's never been told we have to give up 10% or 20% of a merch cut, I can't really relate, I guess, in that sense. Although, like, I know, like, when I go see Iron Maiden and I'm paying $55 a shirt, I know why I'm paying $55 a shirt. It's not because the shirt costs $50 to make. It's because Live Nation tax a fee on, and then Iron Maiden's like, well, you know what? To cover the cost of this fee, we're going 20% on top of their 20%. So there you are, $55, $60 all day long for a shirt.
Right.
So, yeah, I know what you mean. I think a lot of it, too, with the bigger venues taking a cut, is because a lot of these bands are, like, at a point now where they need, like, a minimum size stage. And I think these venues kind of know they got them. Like,
yeah.
So, for instance, like, the biggest city near me is Charlotte. It's 2 hours away. There's a Live Nation venue down there called the Fillmore, which, you know, pretty much 80% of the bigger bands, like your Testaments, Amon Amarth, like Kill Switch, Engaged, bands of that stature play there because the stage is the smallest they can get by with for like their drum riser and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of just like stuck in this one area that's the only venue they can really play at. And they're just like, well, we'll just raise costs to cover the cost. You know, they'll have like somebody there, like a manager for all their stuff. And then the employees just like, you know, give me shirt A. They just grab a box out of shirt A, you know, or a shirt out of box A, and there they go, you know, and then they get paid for the night. And then, but the thing that gets me is like, bands should be like, you take merch cut, we take beer cut. Because without us there, nobody's drinking this beer.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it should just be cut of 20% of all extras all the way around. And you know,
and
the bands would make out better, I guarantee it.
Exactly right there, Jason. That's exactly what I was thinking about earlier, where Tom was talking about, you know, just saying fucking no, or coming back and saying, okay, well, that's not going to work. You know, here's what I suggest. Because this whole business was based on fucking negotiation to begin with, because it's entertainment. There's no set fucking rule book for it, you know?
Right.
Yeah, you don't know if you don't ask. And that's the thing is, like, And I don't mean any disrespect to any bands when I say this, but most of the bands that I have encountered are bad at negotiating. And I don't think it's anything, it's any kind of slight, but the reality is that, you're dealing with people who are artists, and artists make art. Like, that's what they do. They're not businessmen most of the time. They're artists. So their brains work on a level where creating is their focus. So it's not uncommon to find a band that's full of guys who don't know how to handle business. And, it's one of those things where, someone has to step up and be like, okay, I'm out of my element. I don't understand this, but I want to learn more so that I can make better decisions and negotiate better things for my band. And, us being a two-piece, like, it was one of those things where in the early days I was having a really hard time, and I needed us to do better. So I started reading books. I started, listening to guys talk about business, and not even just like music business stuff, but just like listening to like business guys talk about, selling and negotiating and that sort of thing. And so I just started kind of putting some of those tools into practice with the band. And now, I try to like help other younger bands and stuff and be like, hey, like, you shouldn't do that. Don't let somebody do that to you, and sometimes I can be a little preachy when I do that kind of stuff. And I've had to watch how I address it. But what I try to do is just be like, hey, you're better than that. You should be playing that spot for $100. You're worth more than $100. What I always say to everybody is every band, no matter how shitty you are, has worth. Everybody does. If you can bring one person to a show, you're worth at least that one person's ticket price. So what bothers me is when you have a band, and I've seen that a lot with our town, especially in some of the local openers. These bands are so grateful for the opportunity and just want to play that they'll play for $100. And in the beginning, we all have to do that. But at a certain point, when you start seeing 25 people at your show, or you start seeing 15 people at your show, you need to be doing head counts and going, okay, we had 15 people here this time. So the next time I talk to those people about our gig here, I'm going to say, well, last time we drew about 15 people. So I'd like us to get $150 this time, stuff like that. And it really is something as simple as just paying attention to what you're drawing and where, and keeping track of it so that you can be a better negotiator. Absolutely. And when you go to some of these places, if it's a place where you're selling, 100 cap room out and they want to take your merch cut, just be like, nah, and go somewhere else.
Right.
And you can tell that next venue, hey, we sold this other room out at 100 cap. This is what we want. But bands are they're hungry, and they want to play because, like we said, that artist part of them, that creator part, doesn't think about that other side. So I think it's one of those things where we all have to get better at the business side, which sucks.
Right.
Because the business side isn't fun.
Right.
But in order to make our lives easier and better and be treated better, we have to kind of learn the business. Because, you're dealing with business people for the most part, whether it's a small bar or a big venue, that's a business owner.
Yes.
So you have to walk in like a business owner. And one of the things I always say when I'm talking to people is I try to let them know that I also am a small business owner. I understand having a bottom line. I understand your costs are what they are. If our price doesn't work for you, I'm not offended at all. We can go our separate ways and everything is fine. But this is my bottom end. If my bottom, doesn't work for you, that's fine. No hard feelings. We'll move on and we'll work with other people. And I found that approach usually works pretty well, because then they realize, well, okay, this guy understands that I have to make X amount of dollars.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just, like I said, it's one of those things. the business side and the music side just are really hard to mix, with musicians, because most of them they don't have a single bone in their body that
right
wants anything to do with that.
And that's the horror story that you heard from all the bands in the fucking 70s and 80s and even into the mid 90s about getting fucked over by their managers and shit like that, because they signed away their fucking power of attorney and fucking lost all their money and shit.
Yeah, it's the music business has been a problem for a long time. This is definitely not a new thing. We encounter new problems with time. Right now, the biggest things are, streaming royalties not being good enough, and Ticketmaster is a hot one, and then this merch cut stuff is our current focus. But there's been all kinds of stuff for years that's been a problem, because you have corporate suits and tie type people running what we all consider to be the big part of the music industry, the labels, the Live Nation venues. It's all run by the corporate machine, and without getting too political about it, it's one of those where they're not concerned with most musicians, because most musicians are not making enough money to care about. They're not bringing in enough people for them to care about. And unfortunately, there's a ton of really good bands touring who are selling out 200 and 300 cap rooms, who are amazing. And they're bands that, you tell other people, they're only selling out a 200 or 300 cap, and they're like, whoa, those guys. But it's, that's where a lot of the so-called big artists are. They're in 200 and 300 cap rooms. Mm-hmm. They're not in 1,000 seaters, So to me, that's depressing, because some of my favorite bands, can maybe fill a 200 cap and on a good day, and they should really be making bigger bucks, playing bigger rooms, playing better tours with better venues. But the system just kind of is what it is.
Right.
Hey, Church Recordings presents Haunt and Hellfire, No Sleep Till Death. Starting Thursday, August 24th, 2023 at Reverb Lounge in Omaha, with select dates in Chicago, Detroit, Newport, Indianapolis, Brooklyn, Wallingford, Philadelphia, Washington, Atlanta, Pensacola, Lafayette, and more. Check listings on Facebook and the Haunt the Nation fan club. No sleep till death tour. But when I feel the urge to fight,
no, absolutely. And there's a band that, well, I will not name, that can do the same thing, that did actually get picked up for a pretty big fucking tour for them. And it's just like going back to the club right after that and doing the club tour again. And it's just like, wow. It's like, man, you guys were on this fucking awesome fucking, like 25 date tour with so-and-so, and fucking like you should be fucking like on to the next one like that. And it's like, and it almost feels like it feels criminal when you see somebody go back to the club that's done that, I think.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is we've had people that will be like, oh man, why are you opening this show, or why are you not headlining? And I'll be like, dude, we're nobody here. Like, just because you saw us in a city where we, can draw 75 to 100 people doesn't mean we do that everywhere.
Right.
There are places we go where they don't know who the fuck we are.
Right.
And that's the part of touring that, is tough, because you make a dent somewhere and you start to feel like, man, this city is really starting to feel good. Like, we're starting to pull people. We're starting to sell merch really well. And then the next night you go somewhere else, like on a Wednesday in Tupelo, Mississippi or something, and you play to 2 people. So it's like every up, there's like 2 big steps down.
Right.
So it's like, it's soul crushing, because like you get these highs that are just unbelievable. Like, speaking of Tupelo, Mississippi, the very first time we ever played Tupelo, Mississippi, we played 150 cap room and we filled it. First time we ever played there. And that doesn't happen often. Like, normally you play a place the first time and it's like you and the bartender, and you got to play there a dozen times before anything happens. But we walked in the door and it was awesome. And it, and to this day, that's one of my favorite shows that we've ever played, just because the reaction, like, everybody knew the words to the songs. Like, we sold a ton of merch. Like, it was just an amazing night. But I remember the night after we played there, we played, I think, Birmingham, Alabama, and played for a door, and it was like 5 people there.
Oh my God.
So it was like we had this big moment where we were like, yes, people know who we are. And then the next night it was like, yep, you ain't shit. Nobody cares.
Brings you back real quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The biggest show we ever played was at a place called the Orange Peel. We opened up for a pretty big band, and we got like $200, and like all these people were like, man, you were awesome and everything. And then we played a show like a week and a half later in our hometown again, and nobody showed up. We were like, yeah, we're gonna have all these people who are at this show come here, and it's gonna like do good. There was like 8 people. Nobody even knew we played that show. And then like a month later, we went to Johnson City, Tennessee, and like 6 people were at the show that we played in Asheville. Saw us open for this band, and we had like a pretty good turnout in Johnson City, Tennessee. So like the thing about like local bands like playing like bigger shows, it's like cool to like play with like bigger bands, but you gotta remember, like, I would say probably like 50% or more of the people are from out of town, and you'll probably never see them again unless you like look up and go to the town they live in and they remember your name. So like the allure of the big bands like kind of wears really fast when you figure this out.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing with that too is like, they're really there to see that band, not you.
I don't know if
you might not even get people there to see you.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Well, in my experience too, it's like just because you're on a show with those kind of bands, doesn't necessarily mean those people will watch you, because some of them will just hang outside till the band plays.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've seen it where we've played, a show where it's, a 400 cap room and there's 300 people there. And when we play, there's like 60 people in the room.
Right.
Right.
And it's not that you sucked. It's not that they didn't like you. It's that they weren't interested because they weren't hooked, before you played. So you're relying on them being in the room to play too, which if they're not there and they're just hanging outside, I mean,
Very much. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes me wish that smoking was just outlawed. So, cigarettes weren't more of an attention getter than live music.
Well, I mean, give it time. It's happening.
Slowly but surely. But the thing is, I'm getting old. I can't wait much longer for this to happen. It's not going to matter.
You're gonna be 73, and it's gonna be outlawed, and you will not.
So
you will
be
not have played drums for a decade, and and then you're gonna come out of retirement to be able to play this show where people have to be in the room.
Well, the thing is, cigarettes will be outlawed, but weed is going to be legal in all 50 states. So it's going to be even worse, because then everyone's just be stoned and sitting around on their phone and, not even care. So
no, they'll be watching the stream of you and in the room at the same time. is what it'll be.
Okay.
See, and I live in Wisconsin, and I bet you anything we will be one of the last states to legalize it.
Indiana
man.
will
North
be
Carolina
too.
still doesn't have medical, so we're dragging our ass too down here.
It's pretty wild up here, man. Like, our state is very, very conservative, and when it comes to, well, so the thing is, like, Wisconsin is a small state, but we have Milwaukee, and we have Madison, and we have Green Bay. So we have some decent sized cities, and those cities are a little more liberal in their views of, things like legalizing marijuana and stuff. But the problem is we have so many rural markets, in small towns, and those are predominantly conservative leaning politically. So they're all very against the idea of legalization.
Right.
And that's a lot of votes. So our problem is we have a lot of very, very conservative Christian types that do not want to see weed legalized. And it's a problem. And
Right.
we have Michigan just across the border who legalized it, and everybody goes up there to get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's getting it. And then, we're arresting people across the border for having gummies. Like, come the fuck on.
Really?
Yeah.
I found that amazing.
It's, yeah. Like, I saw somebody posted on Facebook not too long ago. Cops had this big stash of all this stuff they confiscated just over the Michigan border, and they were like, "We're doing great things," and blah blah blah. And they had this poor drug dog, dude. They had this poor drug dog just sitting there in the picture, and I just felt so bad for the dog.
Yeah.
I was like, "This poor dog."
Oh my god.
Like, they're making him be party to this bullshit.
Yeah, the thing that kills me, like, these people are like, "Oh, we can't legalize weed." It's like, what do you think, the crime rate's going to go up? Have you ever met someone on weed? Dude, there's nothing happening except for some munchies happening.
Yeah, that's true.
What the fuck? To be honest with you, if they legalized it, it'd probably be more peaceful. I bet you the crime rate would drop 10%. Easy.
Everybody will be aggressively napping.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like, we should go, like, rob this guy down the road, Steve. And Steve's like, dude, I'm too fucking high to get off the chair right now. So, I mean, like, okay, there's a crime averted, man.
And you know, and then here's the thing too, is like, you can do shit responsibly, whether it be smoke, drink, whatever, is, not everybody is a fucking raging lunatic with it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are the people that are, but fucking, I've offered and been like, no, I have to drive. Oh, cool. And that's fucking awesome. That somebody could have that control. Like, that's not the shit that you ever hear about.
Right. And just the fact that Uber and Lyft are so fucking easy to use. I mean, it's like, if you get messed up in a bar, it's pretty inexpensive to get home. Whether or not your car is going to be messed with while you're at home is a different story. But at least you can make it home without getting a DUI or wrecking or killing someone.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just a chance you got to take, anymore. So nobody can leave anything alone, it seems, in bigger cities, for sure.
Yep, very much so. So I still want to do a derailed segment here, Jason. We've been
let's go.
on for
I figured this derailed pretty quick here, but
yeah, it kind of did. So
one more thing before we get started. You had another post too I found almost as humorous about the pay-to-play promoter hitting you up for a venue that you play pretty regularly.
Oh, yeah, I vaguely
that was a good one
that.
too. Because I remember back in the day when we were starting, we did actually do pay-to-plays because our reason was like, well, we need some pictures for like good pictures, like in a nice venue, other than like down the road, like the boiler room or something. So let's go play this, and like we can like hire someone to take pictures of us live and stuff like that. But we're never under the grandeur of like, man, we're really gonna win this off our talent. I know this song. It's gonna send us over the top. It's like, no, the band that sold like 42 tickets, that's the band that's gonna win. That wasn't really the point. But some of these bands that like still do pay to play, and they should know better. Not to mention any names, Mark. We know one. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? It's like, yeah, we finished 4th and got like fan favorites.
Sorry.
Like, dude, are you fucking serious? You're proud of that? Like, you're a sucker, dude. That's all. That's all it was. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I thought it was humorous that they like
I figured
these
the winner
promoters
would
didn't
be
even
fan
look up.
favorite.
Yeah, the promoters didn't even look you up to see like how big you were. They just assumed like you needed a show, and they were gonna like try to mooch off you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing with pay to play. Like, if it's a production fee, I'm okay with that. Because again, it goes back to, I don't have a problem paying people to do the work. If you're gonna do work,
Right.
I think everybody should get paid to do work.
Right.
What I don't like is when people are not doing work and they're just taking money away to do nothing.
Right.
But like, if it's a prod fee, like Nashville is real big on prod fees. Like, if you play anywhere in Nashville, it's like $300 to play anywhere. So I'm not crazy about it, but if I see a room in a market we need that I'm pretty sure we can draw well in, and the sound is good, that's the other thing. If I'm paying a sound guy $300, I want immaculate sound.
Yeah, better sound good monitors.
Yeah.
Outside, yeah.
I don't want to have to scream at him all night about turning my monitors up so I blow my voice out. That's a big concern for me now, because as I get older, it gets harder and harder to maintain my voice. So the sound, we're a loud band. We just are. But I will always turn my amps down if I need to in order to save my voice.
Right.
Now, if it's just the sound guy doesn't know how to run sound, I don't want to turn my amps down, but I will to save my voice. Because my voice is how I make money. I can't do this without it. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a singer that plays guitar. Like, I don't consider myself as much of a guitar player as I do a singer. I mean, I've been singing since I was, probably like 10 years old. But like, I got to make sure my voice is okay. So if I get to a place and they're like, oh, we take a $200 fee to pay the sound guy, and we take $100 to pay the door guy. Okay, cool. I'm okay with that. But if that guy does not run sound well and is taking his sweet time setting up, or is demanding weird things of me. I had a guy once, I won't name him and I won't say where this took place, but some people might know where this happened. So I had a show, and the show was great. But the sound guy wanted us, we were direct support for the headliner, and then there was an opener in front of us. He wanted all 3 of us to be fully set up on the same stage, like not just like amps backlined or anything. I mean, he wanted full drum kits up there. He wanted full guitar rigs. Now, my guitar rig is huge.
Yeah.
So like, that's a bunch of space. Then a full drum kit, and then another guy in front of us with the headliner behind us. That's a lot. And the stage wasn't that deep. So I made the mistake. I was, a friend was one of the promoters, and I love him dearly, so I didn't want to rock the boat with him. Had he not been involved, I would have probably lit this guy up. But my friend was one of the promoters, so I was like, you know what? I'll deal with it. I don't want to stress him out. I'll deal with it. So what ended up happening was we had to be situated so that Mitch was facing this way and I was facing this way, so we weren't looking at each other. And a lot of what we do is about like communicating with our bodies and like our looks. We'll look at each other.
Yeah.
So like, the songs are rehearsed and they're tight, and they have pieces that are always the same, but then there's some parts that change depending on the chemistry that he and I are feeling.
Right.
So like, that was awkward. And then the sound was kind of weird, but it was like I was right at the edge of the stage, like crammed up against the monitors, so I couldn't hear the monitors because they were blasting my ankles. So it was one of those things where it's like, this guy should not get paid a ton of money. Mm-hmm. But, if I go someplace and I've got awesome monitors and I can hear everything, the guitar sounds good, the guy's like super accommodating, that guy should totally make his money, But like, if I go somewhere and I play poorly and somebody doesn't get their money worth, they're probably going to let me know. They're probably not going to want to pay me what I normally get, you know? So as far as like the pay to play thing goes, for prod fees, like sound and door and stuff like that, if it's a good venue, I'm usually okay with it. We have really never done the ticket thing that a lot of bands have done,
right?
Where they give you like 30 tickets and you get $2 a ticket or whatever that is. I've had a couple clubs offer me deals like that, and I always just say no. And usually I'm in, I think 3 total. I've had that 3 times total. And all, like, one of the times they were just like, well, that's what we do. Too bad. Bye. But the other 2 times I just said, well, that's not what we do. This is a market where we can pull 40, 50 people. Like, we normally get a guarantee at X club. And then they ended up giving us a guarantee and we didn't have to sell any tickets. So that goes back to that whole thing of just saying no. You know, it's not going to work every time, but I mean, you don't know unless you try.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's really what it is, you know. It's all a negotiation based thing. Just fucking stand up for what you believe in and fucking say no and counter. Fucking counter everything.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, you know, not everybody might agree with me on this, but at the end of the day, I love my band, I love what I do, and, you know, this is probably the only thing that people will pay me to do that I'm actually any good at. But like at the end of the day, it's a band, it's music, it's not the end of the world if something doesn't work out, you know, like the important stuff, you know, like my wife and my family, like that's really, to me, that's the stuff that I can't live without. If something doesn't happen with music, I mean, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to have any real catastrophic problems if something doesn't work out with music. But I think at the end of the day, you just got to you got to take it seriously, but you can't take it too seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Be able to separate the two.
Yeah, like these bands like you play with, and some of them like, yeah, we fucking suck, so, you know, you just steal our shit for free online or whatever. I'm like, dude, I was like, if you're not believing in yourself, why are you doing this? It's like, we don't give anything away for free. I mean, like, nothing, dude. We don't have like guest lists on our shows or like anything. We're just like, look, 4 of us took time out of our day to pack up all our shit, drive here, set it all back up, tear it back down, and load it back up to play next time. It's like, you can give us $5. Yeah.
Yep.
Quite all right.
You want to know something, Tom?
Well, and that's the thing.
He's lying about that. He gave me a free CD.
It was a live CD, Mark. It wasn't really worth much.
Oh. Damn.
Give me that back. I'll give you a download code.
There you go. What were you going to say, Tom?
I was just going to say, like, we all need to be a little more, and myself included, we all just need to be a little more, we need to have some faith in the art we create. You know, we need to realize that, you know, it's valuable to us and it could be valuable to somebody else. Because, I mean, there's something for everybody out there. And no matter how weird your music is or whatever, there's always going to be somebody who gets it.
Sure.
You know, so it all has value. It all has worth. And we just need to have a little more confidence in what we do in general, you know, and be proud of it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think people should treat it as a throwaway. You know, if you throw it away, then I'm not really not gonna pay attention to your band. Because I only want to listen to people who believe in what they do and like it and try. Like, no, I'm not saying that every song everyone does is amazing. Like, there's songs by my favorite bands I skip over as soon as I hear it. Like, you know, there's some AC/DC songs. Like, if I never heard it again, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But I love AC/DC. But
yeah.
I've shook me all night long after hearing it for the 6,000th time, you know, in my life.
Probably
so
6
it's just stuff like that,
millionth time.
Do what?
Probably the 6 millionth time.
It could be. But yeah, I think all musicians, like no matter what the genre, if they're really like proud of their stuff, then they should convey it as, you know, being proud of it and charging for it, because it's a lot of work. Dude, studios aren't cheap either, and to get that stuff out. You know?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I mean, just like you were saying earlier, every band's valuable if they believe it. So you should reward them by going to see live shows and buying the CD, and then buy the album and then listen to it on Spotify to, you know, get the play count up. Even though I know it's a lot of plays for a penny, but at least you're trying.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark. I'm done.
No, yeah, I mean, to get the play count up, you know, that's the big thing these days. But there's, you know, look at some of these bands out there. There's some of them that do insanely well.
Yeah.
That are just almost like holy shit numbers.
Yeah. I mean, when I was freshening up on 20 Watt today before this, I noticed that you have like one song had like 497,000. Like, dude, that's pretty damn good, man, for a band in this genre, you know, especially. So
it goes up and down for us. When we released the 2 cover songs that we put out in 2020, it shot up to like I think 24,000 monthly listeners.
Yeah,
and then we kind of hover between like 17K and 14K, usually somewhere around there, and sometimes it dips a little further. But I always tell people too, like I get in the Spotify debate quite frequently with people because I have kind of a unique perspective to a degree on that. I don't think that Spotify is, well, let me rephrase. I don't think that boycotting Spotify is the answer. I don't think that does what people think it does. So my thing is, you know, if you boycott, like, because let's be real, most of the bands that need people's support are not the Metallicas and Taylor Swifts of the world. They're bands like mine, you know, who don't make very much.
Right.
So when these people boycott Spotify because of Spotify's ethics and the way they pay people, the only people that suffer are the bands. Like, Spotify doesn't notice. Spotify doesn't skip a beat. They are not going, oh man, Steve so-and-so from Wausau, Wisconsin, he's not listening to us. Man, we might have to rethink our business plan. They don't give a fuck about anybody. They're making millions, billions. So my thing is, buy the merch at the shows, buy everything the band has, and then go stream their music, because you are giving them every single cent you possibly can then.
Sure.
And as far as Spotify goes, you know, how do we change it? How do we make them, you know, be a more fair paying streaming service? Well, boycotting them is not the answer. And I think we need to approach it with our legislators. And because one thing that pisses me off is when people bitch about stuff like this on Facebook and how they're going to boycott Spotify, and then they do nothing to actually make a change in the system.
Right.
So, like, write your lawmakers. Tell them this bothers you. If enough people do that, it'll become enough of an issue that they'll have to address it in some way. They might not change it, but they'll at least need to talk about it. And that's the thing. Like, this isn't even a talked about issue for politicians right now.
No,
right.
It's not.
You know, you never hear this stuff brought up, you know, by lawmakers, because nobody brings it up to them. So my thing is, if we want to affect change in the streaming world, we need to stop pointing the finger at the streaming services and start pointing the finger at our lawmakers and make these people be more accountable for what they're doing. Because these people are, like, it goes back to what I said before. If somebody allows you to do something long enough, you're just going to keep doing it. So we need to have laws in place that make things like paying artists whatever the fuck you feel like it not a thing anymore. We need to have, like, actual numbers. This is what we get paid. And that's only going to happen if we can, you know, attack it with our lawmakers rather than boycotting Spotify. And the other thing about Spotify is it's not even the lowest payer. Pandora is, and nobody gives Pandora any shit. Like Pandora pays way less than anybody else.
Right.
And Pandora is labeled as this, like, oh, it's for the artists. Like it's it's our project. We only pick certain bands. Well, last I checked, Spotify paid like 3 times what Pandora does. And nobody's talking about Pandora. If it's bad for Spotify to do it, it's twice as bad for Pandora.
Yeah.
But again, the only way we're going to see any change about it is if we actually go to the source and try to make them more accountable for what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the whole Taylor Swift ticket debacle is the only reason they even brought it up about oh, you mean there's a monopoly between Ticketmaster and Live Nation? You mean they sell tickets to their own venues? Those sons of bitches. And they did this 20 years ago. What the hell? Where have y'all been?
Yeah,
right.
Selling parking passes in downtown venues. It's there's nowhere to park at a baseball stadium. Really, it's all you take subways and buses and shit there. And why are you charging me a parking fee for everyone in my party? It's not just me. It's my son has to pay a parking fee. My wife has to pay a parking fee. We're taking the same car. What the fuck is this? Just stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's fun talking shop.
It is.
Someone who has lived it.
Always
really
is. But honestly, I don't think we need it derailed on this.
Oh, we could do real quick. Just 3.
Just 3.
What is derailed?
Oh, it's just
Derailed is usually 5 random questions from.
Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go ahead and do derailed here. So
I'm ready.
My screen is going to be kind of weird and wonky, but yours should not be.
In a time of madness and deceit, its coming was foretold. And now, Soulgrinder has returned to become filled and crusted. From the bands who brought you the prophecy of blight comes a terrifying new chapter that will leave you changed forever. This summer, don the armor of atrophy. Let plasma crush away and become filth encrusted.
Born forever in a power river. Baptized in mutation, stranger than you've ever been.
Should not be a thing. And like I said, these come from interview decks that I'm just gonna just go with it. Would you rather be a babyface or a heel wrestler? A good guy or a bad guy?
I think I'd probably be the bad guy.
You think so?
I think so. See, because the psychology behind that is this. I have to be a nice guy in my daily life all the time. So if I got to be a bad guy for pretend,
Yeah, for sure.
that'd probably be.
Could you do a promo? Could you be like, this Sunday, brother? Or something like
Actually, if you want to see all the promo you can handle, you should check out my solo thing that I do, Reverend Meantooth.
Yeah?
I play Delta Blues, and I wear a white suit sometimes and scream about religion and cults and shit. And sometimes I wear black metal face paint when I do it.
Oh, good God, yes. Why did I not already know about this?
Now you learn. That's why you got to talk to him, Mark. You just learn about
yes, that is so awesome. Jason, what about you? What would you be?
For a wrestler,
Yeah, would you be a baby?
Heel.
You'd be a heel also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see you being that way.
Like when I play video games, and you can be good or bad. I'm always leaning toward the asshole.
Yeah,
it's like when you play Fallout 4, and it's you go to Preston's camp, and he's like, "Man, I really need you to go check the settlement." Why isn't there an option go fuck yourself, Preston, and just walk off? But you could just pick the one closest. I don't have time for your shit. See you later. So.
Nice. Question 2: what are your thoughts on the Winchester Mystery House?
I don't even know what that is.
Wow.
What is it either?
Do you don't know what it is either, Jason?
Wait a second. Is that like a sex move? Is that what that is? The
No,
Winchester
that is not.
haunted house?
No.
Is that something you're like, hey, I gave her the Winchester haunted house last night?
Actually, there is a band in Louisville that's named after this house. Rifle. So the Winchester Mystery House, for those who do not know, namely...
They made a movie about it, right?
Huh?
They made a movie about this, right?
I think so.
Winchester
but basically,
family.
it was the widow of the gentleman who created Winchester rifles, that she thought that the ghosts would come back and haunt her and her family for all of the ones who were killed by their guns.
Oh.
So what she did is, in her home, she built... she had like contractors build like fucking doors that opened into walls, stairways that went into nowhere, fucking all kinds of crazy shit to confuse the ghosts.
Nice. Yeah, I just voted Winchester House. I didn't know it was called the Mystery House. So
yeah, so see, that's a wild one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I know.
Yeah. See, now you can do some research and write a fucking awesome song about it.
I bet you my wife knows about it. Honestly, like she loves haunted shit. I bet you tomorrow when I talk to her, if I mention it, she'll be like, "Oh yeah, didn't you know?" Blah blah blah. I'll bet you
right? Hey, it's fondue night. Cheese or chocolate?
Dude, this guy's from Wisconsin. What the fuck, man?
I live in Wisconsin. We have chocolate cheese.
Oh, dude, really?
Yeah, it's a thing.
We are quite the food connoisseurs. Jason and I are.
Like, how do you do it? Do you just like mix equal parts of cheese and chocolate? Like, what kind of cheese do you use? Like a salty cheese or not so salty versus the chocolate, or like?
I'm really tempted to tell this story like I actually know what the method is, but I actually don't. So I'm just gonna say I don't know.
Oh, dude,
I've never tried it, but I have seen it. It's brown. It looks like fudge,
right?
And yeah, you can find it at specialty cheese places. So I mean, if you ever get to Wisconsin, hit up one of those cheese outlets. Yes, we have cheese outlets.
Yes, yes, you do.
You might have some.
We played up there back in October of last year at Club Garibaldi in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could see definitely some like the Cheese Castle up there is one of them.
Yep.
And I wanted to stop, but we were on like a time crunch to get back to. We were going to Akron, Akron, that night, which is like an 8-hour drive. Yeah. And so yeah, we didn't get a chance to stop at the Cheese Castle. But one of the cool things I thought up there, food-wise, was we had stopped at a Culver's that was right out by our hotel, and the cheese curds actually had like onion mixed with the batter, and that's not a thing here in Kentucky. They don't do it the same way.
Well, we have what's called cheese curds here.
Right.
Which are a cheese byproduct. And then some very awesome person decided they would fry that shit. So, but yeah, Culver's has good fried cheese curds, but if you ever make it to Wisconsin again, there's a couple other places I'll recommend to you that have really good fried cheese products.
Yes, absolutely. And the chocolate cheese thing, you know, that was like the first thing, like I remember being like the weird food combinations you do as a kid or whatever. That's the first one that I ever remember doing was having a piece of cheese on a chocolate donut.
Damn, that's crazy.
And it's awesome.
You sure you're not from Wisconsin?
I'm pretty sure I'm not, but like I'm just a fat dude.
Yeah, I just like carnival food. Like, sorry, you know.
Yeah, right. That is definitely carnival food sounding for sure. Question 4: did you see any movies in school that made like an impression on you?
Yes. To Kill a Mockingbird, I saw in school. Lord of the Flies, I saw in school. I saw some horror movie in like 3rd grade that I do not remember the name of, but it was like one of those really, really crazy, weird, psychedelic looking 70s horror movies.
Right.
And now whenever I see any kind of movie that resembles it, I have like flashbacks to grade school watching whatever that was. But yeah, I know there's more, because that was a thing. That was a thing in the 80s. Like whenever your teacher just didn't want to do shit, they'd just be like, hey kids, here's a movie. Watch this while I go sit in the corner and do whatever.
Cart with the VCR on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one, Mark, that I've never forgotten. Is Ernest Goes to Camp.
Oh wow!
One that I watched in school, and I never forgot it. 2nd grade.
Y'all had cool movies.
Yeah,
we didn't do shit like that.
Yeah, I remember my science teacher later on had a Laserdisc player. I thought that was amazing. I think we watched Star Wars one day or something.
Yeah.
And the class period's like 90 minutes, and like it wasn't over, and we had to go. I was so pissed, even though I had seen Star Wars like 100 times before it. I'd never seen it on Laserdisc, so I was like, "Oh man, this is great," you know. And it's like, "Oh fuck, they haven't built the Death Star yet. I can't go."
It's the same quality as VHS.
Do what?
It's the same quality as VHS.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at the time,
not when you're a kid.
Yeah, when you're a kid,
that's true.
It's on a disc as big as a record. You know, 12-inch. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
you know, surprisingly
watch
enough,
Star Wars on a circular bladed weapon.
Hell yeah, man!
Right. Surprisingly enough, I only have one laser disc, I think, and it's Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that was about the time they were like trying to make it a thing, but it really wasn't going to be a thing.
Right. Yeah. And the bad thing is they're just basically giant video CDs.
Pretty much. But they look cool.
But they look cool. But the weird ones though, like with the cartridge, you know what I'm talking about?
Laserdisc player?
Yeah. There's one brand that's out there that's got like that where it's like a cartridge or some shit.
I don't think I know that one.
I don't know. We'll have to check it out. But for sure, you know. Anyways, I do have one more question. But before we do, as always, links are listed below. So please give a like, a share, and a follow. Go find these guys on all of the social medias. You know, give them all the support that you need. Go buy merch. Fucking go buy albums. You know, fucking seriously support these guys in any way you can when they're out on tour. See them on tour. Fucking awesome shit. Tom, thank you so much. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to anybody today?
I mean, I don't really have any shout outs, no. I like everybody. Everybody's cool, so.
Not even your bandmate. That's awesome. I love it. He's a drummer. Fuck that guy.
He won't even watch this probably. He's too busy with baby stuff. He's a new dad.
Real quick before you go, I do want to plug one show you have. We are sponsored by Shadebeast, and you're playing their 6th anniversary party in September 30th with Horseburner, which is amazing, and Tabernacle Choir and the Holy Ghost. That's the lineup for the 2nd day. So,
are you guys going to be there?
I will not probably. Athens is like 3 hours away from me. I'm in Nashville,
and it's probably 5. Atlanta is 8 for me. So,
but if you do have a date around that that's open, I can give you a contact for.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because Jason books shows and I book shows too. But like I said, I know Atlanta's 8 for me. So fuck yeah. Hell yeah.
That's all I got.
Awesome. So, final question. Why do you think that we as people respect the dead more than we do the living?
Oh, boy. Well, I think at the core of that, you have religion partially to blame. I think that religions in general kind of create this mystique about death, and that definitely influences humans' opinion of like death and the afterlife and all that stuff. So I think that's partly what it is. The other thing is, just from a common sense point, they aren't here to defend themselves. So I think, from a common sense perspective, if someone's not there to defend themselves, we automatically show them a degree more respect, I guess. But who knows? I mean, I definitely think that religion kind of colors how a lot of people look at dead people, though.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that as
I
well.
was gonna say it's about like the not being here to defend themselves aspect for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like people who have died before you did way more with like way less because there was like way less to do. Like they're more like selfless and stuff like that. Whereas everyone today is just like, I'm important because I have Twitter. Like, well, are you though? So yeah, I get it.
My internet is down. Fuck.
My thing is, my grandma was a lot like a mom growing up, and she to this day is still very like, you don't speak ill of the dead. Like, she's just that way. And when somebody is dead, you say nothing but positive things about them. I'm not like that. I later in my life, I've kind of changed how I feel about a lot of things. And if somebody was an asshole when they were alive,
they're an asshole when they're dead.
Exactly.
They're still a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And I may not parade around telling everybody what an asshole they were, but
if somebody asks,
yeah, if somebody's like, "Hey, what'd you think of so and so?" and he was an asshole.
Yeah. And I heard that concept when I read the book White Line Fever. And it was, that was a very Lemmyism that, and he was talking about Randy Rhoads in that segment about how Randy was a fucking prick. And, he asked the same thing. Why do people after they die all of a sudden become a saint? No, they don't. They're an asshole in life. They're an asshole in death too. So,
yeah.
So it's very Lemmy of you.
I mean, it just, I don't know. Now that I'm older, I guess I just kind of have old guy syndrome where I just don't really give a fuck what people think of me anymore.
Yeah,
so.
I'm getting there myself. It's getting there. I just recently turned 40, so yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You're a baby yet.
Yeah, I'm a wee lad.
You said you're 47, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 43.
So yeah, I am the baby.
I'm older than both of you.
Yeah, I know. It's like I feel like I was talking to a real wise saint here.
I got the wizard beard for it
exactly.
too.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing: is you have the wizard beard that still has mostly color.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's the lighting.
Mine is pretty much all white now in the beard, and Jason's is pretty much all white.
Yeah, I got this weird like pad, like the undergrowth here, like it's like regular color, like brown hair, like my hair. But everything else is like white. I'm like, why the fuck is this not changed? Yeah.
So let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Sure.
Do you have children?
I do. I have two of my own and a 20-year-old stepson.
Do you have a girl?
I do.
That's why your beard's all white, man.
Oh, really? Is that what it is? I just figured it's because I was, yeah, it could be, because I have a wife, obviously, and my daughter, and like, boy, when those two go at it, it's like, oh my god.
Girls are something, man. I have, my son is going to be 24 in July, but my wife has 3 kids from her previous marriage, and she has a daughter, and now her daughter is, going to be 20, but man, when she was a teenager, it was rough. Teenagers in general are rough. But.
Did you ever take your son out during the summer? Like, I'm gonna take you to work and make him sling merch for you or anything?
He won't go. I've offered to take him out on the road 1,000,000 times. He never wants to go. He would rather play video games and smoke weed. So,
right. Better tell them to watch it up there in Wisconsin. They'll get you. sounds like.
Yeah, right. No shit, dude. So again, dude, thank you so much for coming on the Metal Forge this week. On our way out, what are we going to play from you guys today?
I'll leave that up to you guys, man.
This is your show, dude.
I never know what to say. I don't know. Do you have everything? Like, what do you have?
I can get everything.
Okay. I guess I would say Lair of the Swamp Witch is probably one of...
That's what I was going to pick.
It's one of the stronger tunes, I think. It's one of the ones people dig, so...
All right.
It's a good representation.
Hell yeah, dude. And metalheads, as you heard him, this is from 20 Watt Tombstone, Lair of the Swamp Witch. In 2017, one man's vision and passion for all things metal started out as a record store in his house. Years later, the fight against a mainstream empire continues as Shadebeast. an independent metal collective and online store based in Athens, Georgia, is the world's premier heavy metal brand for music heads that value authenticity over the mainstream acceptance. Featuring original t-shirts from some of the best underground artists, as well as stickers, posters from the Shadebeast Presents concert series. Unique, one-of-a-kind collectibles and small curated selection of vinyl and cassettes from the masters old and new. Visit shadebeast.com and enter promo code SithLord for free domestic shipping on your first order, whether you're a new customer or returning. And be sure to join the Shadebeast social groups on Facebook and the interwebs to keep up with the new release announcements and talk all things metal and Star Wars. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and filth.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine! An independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code METALFORGE10 to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. Maxwell's House of Music in Jeffersonville, Indiana, is the premier 12,500 square foot music superstore that has served both southern Indiana and Louisville, Kentucky metro area for over 4 decades. Originally founded by Marvin and Beverly Maxwell in the 70s, this gym remains a Maxwell family-owned business. Mark Maxwell, along with his business partner Whitney McNichol, continued the reputation as being the national resource for all things music.
In 2022, the iconic Guitar Emporium of Louisville relocated to Maxwell's Music, creating the largest independently owned showroom in the region. The retail offerings at Maxwell's Music includes a huge selection of guitars, basses, amplifiers, effects pedals, modeling amps, keyboards, drums, banjos, mandolins, ukuleles, sound systems, stage lighting equipment, and accessories. The music education program at Maxwell's is second to none. From private instrument and voice lessons to DJ, EDM, recording, songwriting, and music theory, to rock school, weekend warriors, and Maxwell's Music Lab, there is something for every age and every ability level.
Down in Repairland, guitar and instrument repairs and refurbishment are taken care of by the Maxwell's team of expert guitar technicians and luthiers. They also do appraisals of instruments as well. Maxwell's offers installations for professional audio, visual, and lighting systems for schools, churches, clubs, VFWs, funeral homes, sports fields, and so much more. There's also rentable space at Maxwell's, from the music practice and rehearsal rooms for the individuals and bands, all the way to a meeting space and concert venue that seats up to 120. That also includes a professional audio, visual, and lighting system and a sound booth. Maxwell's has it all. All this plus an original functioning 1947 recording booth to make your own record. Go to the Guitar Hero throne, to the very own Elvis statue, and don't forget the Harmony Green Pocket Park. There's a reason the Maxwell's House of Music in Jeffersonville, Indiana has been recognized by the National Association of Music Merchants as a #1 award-winning best store design, as well as top 100 music store year after year. You gotta see it to believe it. Maxwell's House of Music in Jeffersonville, Indiana.